I start on the first day of school and I say, okay, this is a secondary source and this is your textbook and this is a primary source, and I'll hold up a constitution or a declaration or a picture or something that's a primary source, and we talk about what's the difference. And usually I get somebody to come up with something. It takes a while, but somebody will say, well, that's, the textbook, and I'll start talking about, well, who wrote the textbook, and we'll get into, sometimes it's enlightening to some of them, but we'll get into some discussions about how this is what a second person, it's not somebody who was there, they're getting views of history from somebody else and writing a whole story, and that the other things were written by people who were actually there. And then we'll talk about like an eyewitness account. First of all, it has to come with, I have to plan these questions out ahead of time. I think a lot of times, it would be easy to walk in the classroom and just show them the primary source and let them go from there. But what I usually do is I look at the primary source myself and I say, okay, what is the main point of it? And then what would I want them to see in this source? If I put a document up in front of them, especially a John Smith document, where they don't spell anything correctly, I will make sure I write it exactly the way that they wrote it, and I leave it up there. One of the things I've learned to do is I will put it on the overhead, and I usually do read it for the students because I have such a variety of reading levels. And then I am quiet, which is a big stretch, but I do not say anything for, a little bit, and I train them, and I will tell them at first, I'm not going to say anything, and what I want you to do during this time is I want you to look at it, and I want you to tell me everything you notice. And, you can kind of almost put them in the frame of mind of a detective. Okay, you're thinking, what is this? What clues is this giving me about the past? I think that by encouraging them to look at that very closely, look at every single part of it. We've used magnifying glasses, especially when we've looked at things. John Smith's map of Virginia, we'll use magnifying glasses. And then I just really encourage all kinds of questions, and I tell them to say what's on your mind. Now, gradually over time, the filters start to come in, and they realize what is a better question, and what is not. Because as they ask the questions, I kind of will, when I get a better question, I'll say, okay, that's really good because you're thinking about this, and then they learn from that modeling.